Hello everyone, welcome to the video tutorials of ELK stack. Today we will be seeing about what is log analysis and how ELK stack fits into this log analysis process. So today's session will be more of a theoretical class. So let's move on to the next slide. So log analysis. So what does exactly mean by log analysis? So in today's infrastructure, we have got a lot of applications and in which there is a lot of logs which is being generated. So with these logs there can be many meaningful insights that can be derived. Okay, so many of the organizations are not yet matured to get this log analyzed, but in future this would be a key point to get your enterprise running. So the major issues that can be issues or the advantages of doing log analysis would be these four things mainly, and there are a lot of many other advantages as well, but I have listed only the main advantages of log analysis. So the first and foremost thing will be the issue debugging. So suppose you have an application which reports the same issue again and again. So now your current process would be going manually and getting it rectified. But if we had a proper log analysis to it, we can actually derive a solution to that issue. So that is one of the foremost advantages of doing log analysis. And the next one would be the security analysis. So if I got um, say we can have an example that there are two machines, one in London and one in India. So the same user logs into the machine in London, and some 1 hour after that there is an login from the machine in India, which clearly says that there is a violation of security processes. So in the current world, I don't think these kind of things are only manually monitored. But if we have the log analysis in place, we could avoid or we can find such security um, flaws, or we can actually analyze our security measures well. Okay. Next one would be the performance analysis. Suppose we have a web service, and if you want to know how the web service is performing in terms of the time it is taking to send the response. So you to get this performance analysis done in production region or whatever region, you need to have the logs analyzed first. So ELK stack might be helpful to get this performance analysis done as well. Okay. So the last one would be the predictive analysis. So with the large number of log data that we have, we might be able to predict which will be the time in which we'll be having the most number of traffic. So suppose if we have a e-commerce site, and if at one particular time of the day we have got a lot of traffic, we can predict that's the time which is going to have the peak number of users, and we can scale up the resource accordingly. So these are some of the advantages of doing log analysis. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. If we see the current process, so as a IT support professional, the current process would be there would be so many applications, and each application will be having its own logging formats and its own logging. I mean, they are logged into a separate server. If there is application one, those logs might be in only in the application server one. Okay, so to analyze the issue, which is always has been a time consuming and tedious job for the support analyst. Okay, and next this one and the current process we are having is the logs are not in a consistent format. So suppose that the perfect example would be in one application that datetime format would be ddmm yy underscore whatever the name of the application. In another application, the datetime format would be the n. It would be mmddyy alone. So we don't have a consistent format to get this logs to be analyzed. So we have got a process called logstash, which will help us to format these unstructured logs. And the next thing is the logs are not centralized. So each application has its own logging server. So if there is a um, in let me take again an e-commerce site. So in an e-commerce site, when an order is placed, it has to go through many applications before it gets delivered to the customer. So each application has its own log in their own server. So if there is a um, issue in any of this place, then we have to go back to the particular application team in which the support analyst of that particular application checks in, and they tell this is I mean they give their inputs about that issue. So which is not really helpful. To minimize the time, we need to have a centralized logging system. Okay. And the fourth one is expert knowledge. So currently we need expert knowledge to analyze these issues. So if we can come up with a solution that if this is the issue, this is how it needs to be done, then it would be not, I mean, it would not require much of expert knowledge to do this issue analysis. So the next one is about ELK stack. So how do ELK stack address all these problems? Okay. So it can avoid all the problems that we have mentioned in the previous slide. So basically ELK stands for Elasticsearch, Logstash and Kibana. So all these three softwares are open source softwares provided by a company called Elastic. It was formerly called as Elasticsearch. Now it is just Elastic. So now coming to a real-time scenario. So we have got different applications. So we need to have this in a centralized format or in a consistent format into a centralized server. So that is where Logstash comes into place. So from different server, it ships the logs to one particular centralized server. Okay, centralized server, and that centralized server would be your Elasticsearch server. So all these logs are converted or formatted into a consistent format, and it is stored into the Elasticsearch, which is nothing but a search server. That's what they say. It's a deep search server. So you can store any number of documents. So the way, I mean, we will be seeing about how Elasticsearch works in the subsequent videos. So just as of now, you think that Elasticsearch can store all the log informations in it. Okay. So Kibana is a visualization tool, which I mean, you can create pie charts or bar graphs, or you can get any kind of whatever dashboard you want. It can be created using Kibana, and you can visualize it, which would be which can be used by anyone nearly. So this is how we will be using ELK stack to address this log analysis problem. So that's it for today. So we'll be seeing about the other things in depth in my other videos. So thank you.